Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Inside the Pigskin. And we have a packed house tonight, don't we? And I'm looking forward to, well, I didn't know if I was seeing double, Mel, but that's okay. If I am, then I know I need another set of prescription glasses. But nevertheless, let me get back to it again. Another edition of Inside the Pigskin. Glad to have you with us. Candy and I will be at the Super Bowl next week. But meanwhile, let's go out there and get this party started. We're going to be, does Patrick Mahomes own Josh Allen? I'll let you determine that. And Kyle Nash joins this program. I've known him for a while. We're going to talk about Cam Ward because we both had a chance to see the guy live. Talk about the Eagles. We're going to talk about a lot about the Eagles in the Super Bowl as well as some predictions. With that said, I'll introduce the crew as we have right to left. We're going to have Candy Ebling. Welcome back, Candy.
Thanks, Scott. Glad to be here.
And we have JD Wyatt, new to this program tonight. Welcome to the show, JD.
You're on mute, JD.
My bad. I'm on mute.
That's okay. Right. I didn't take up lip reading, but that's okay. Well, do the best you can. Good to have you on this show. And Kyle Nash joins the show. Obviously, I know Kyle Nash and Travis Holmes, and now we get to bring on Kyle tonight, and I'm glad. Very important episode, and Kyle stepped up, and he's here on the big show. And, of course, we had Jennifer Lewis, who once upon a time was part of the show, and now she's been making periodic appearances. And last but not least, my running back and longtime friend, Melfar Jr. Glad to have this crew on for tonight as we get ready for the Super Bowl. There will be no Inside the Pigskin next week unless we do an episode in New Orleans. Let's get to it. Josh Allen is the first quarterback to lose 4 playoff contests against another quarterback, Patrick Mahomes. Candy, this is an easy one for you, so I don't mind starting off with you. Does Patrick Mahomes own Josh Allen?
No. He might own him in the playoffs, but who beat who in the regular season? So Josh beat him in the regular season. He might have an edge on him in playoffs. The Bills have to find a way to not make mistakes, not kick themselves in the foot, and get over that hurdle. Get over the Kansas City Chiefs.
All right, the new guy, JD Wyatt.
Man, I'm gonna tell you, he owns them. Mahomes owns everybody. It doesn't matter if it's Lamar in the playoffs. The only person that's beat him is Joe Burrow, which that might come up in a conversation a little later on this evening. But I'm telling you, yes, Mahomes owns the NFL. Kelsey owns the NFL. Everybody owns the NFL if they have anything to do with the Chiefs.
Now,
no. Listen, I think this is all fun that we're looking at a record. Oh, he was 4-0 against this guy. Okay, the answer to the question is yes, but I don't want to have to explain too much about corporate structure in stock. The whole reason is that Mahomes owns him the way that he does is mostly shares in Andy Reid stock because he's kicking the entire rear end out of the Bills coaching staff. All of you guys out there saw that game. That was more about incorrect play calling, getting away from doing less with Josh Allen and more with letting James Cook see my first dad joke of the night, right? That it's more about that than anything else. And unfortunately, Josh Allen's just the unfortunate victim.
Okay. All right. We'll turn it over to Mel.
No, he doesn't own him. I mean, unfortunately, they kind of run into a team that's been extremely hot for a number of years now, and that happens every now and then. They run into a dynasty. They run into a coach that has done an extremely good job of putting, or an organization has done an extremely good job of putting pieces together, bringing people together. Their core has been there for a long period of time. They haven't lost any offensive coordinators because Andy Reid is the offensive coordinator. They haven't lost a defensive coordinator, so they've been able to continue to build and build and build each year. Unfortunately for Josh Allen, he might need somebody else to knock off Lamar. It seems like, knock off Patrick, because it seems like they have a difficult time. But I mean, they've been in every game. That one game, you can say, the 13-second game, they were right there. The overtime, when it went into overtime, they didn't get an opportunity to get the ball back. Who knows how that game would have ended up? But to say that Patrick Mahomes owns him, I wouldn't say that, because football is a team sport. It's not two quarterbacks playing against one another. Patrick Mahomes plays against he'll play against Buffalo's defense, and of course Josh Allen is going to play against Kansas City's defense. But yeah, quarterbacks are judged by wins and losses, so people might want to look at it that way. But really, Buffalo has a difficult time getting over the hurdle. Kansas City, that hurdle, and so they're going to have to go back to the drawing board and figure out what it is that they need to do to be able to beat them. And like one of the gentlemen just said, they kind of got away from doing what they normally do. They, running the football. They were running the football very effectively, and they tried to make it a Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes type of game. But there's only so much that Josh Allen can do, so they're going to have to get him a few more weapons. I don't think Amari Cooper. Where was he? I don't think he was. I don't know if he caught a pass in the game. I can't remember. But the running game was very effective. They kind of got away from it. And, they have to look. They're going to have to look and figure out ways to stop Mahomes and Kelsey, the young kid, the rookie, played very well. He, in that particular game, he really played well in the postseason. So, Kansas City is not going to. They're not getting worse. I can tell you that. Once the Super Bowl is done, they're not going to get any worse. They're going to just get better. So they're going to have to try to figure out a way in which they can stop that offense and see and be able to put up more points, and we put up at least one more point than they're able to put up.
Turn over to Jennifer.
When Andy Reid and Kansas City Chiefs drafted Patrick Mahomes, he was the final piece to that puzzle. And they pretty much started right off from there. That was some amazing coaching, great culture inside the building, even if it's not a great stadium apparently. But I agree with Mel. It's a team sport. You win as a team, you lose as a team. Quarterbacks oftentimes get the most grief and the most praise. Now, is Patrick Mahomes probably the GOAT of the postseason? Yeah, hands down. He has that determination. No one's going to beat him in the postseason. He got beat by Joe Burrow once. When's the last time that happened? Just wondering. But no, it's not. No, because I think if I'm kind of worried about them after Kelsey leaves and a couple of their other players retire. I don't follow the Chiefs as closely as I should probably, but once they start retiring, that will probably be when Josh Allen and the Bills get their opportunity, because right now that's such a cohesive team, such a cohesive unit. It's impenetrable, in my opinion. But no.
Yeah, you said a mouthful. Let me get a couple of comments in here. I really like these. I'll put them in myself, Candy. All right, Kyle, you got your first fan out here. This guy likes you. All right, look at this guy. All right, we'll put him up there. So, he loves your energy. Then again, it didn't take long to figure that out. Oh, I don't want to put this one up. This will rile Kyle up until I get what I have to say. I won't say that he owns them, but a 4-0 record in the postseason. The records don't lie. 4-0. We know that Josh has had success in the regular season. With Josh Allen, to me, he's still in his prime. Who knows what will happen? I like what Jennifer said, though, that who knows what will happen when you have a trip up here, okay? And when you have a little bit of a trip up, maybe that's when Josh Allen finally breaks through. I can sit here and go back when the Detroit Pistons were taking on the Boston Celtics, and then ultimately the Detroit Pistons broke through, and that's when things started to turn. The Buffalo Bills are not quite there yet, but they had a great football game. They were down by a lot, got back in it because of Josh Allen. Unfortunately, one play at the end, but you can't base it on that last play at the end. It's just one of those situations. It was the fact that Josh Allen got the throw in the vicinity of the wide receiver is another story. So, chat room very busy tonight. I really don't want to get him and Kyle Rabb involved, but you know what? I have no choice because popular Chiefs will win because of the refs. All right. Well, we knew somebody's. And you know what? I'm going to let Kyle go out there and have his inaugural rant because I have a feeling that he's probably going to do it anyway. Go ahead, Kyle.
And listen, I know if anybody has been guilty of being critical of the officials, it certainly has been me. And listen, there's been no call as egregious as we've seen with, let's say, the Tuck rule with one Patrick Mahomes II. However, this whole refs are to blame thing is just tired. Okay, at the end of the day, maybe don't keep James Cook off the field on the 4th and 1. That was close. Okay, maybe keep it out of the ref's hands. Isn't that what everybody tells you? Granted, that's what Joe Mixon got fined for and shouldn't have been, but that's not the refs. That's the NFL front office. Listen, at the end of the day, where is everybody trying for with their memory suddenly blank on calls that kept the Chiefs from winning the games? Correct calls, I might add, but stuff that Patrick Mahomes II wasn't happy about. Where was the fanhood of Patrick Mahomes II from the refs at that point? You can't have it both ways. I don't know what it is with the NFL public. I don't understand why anybody hates Patrick Mahomes II. I'm not a Chiefs fan. I'm a Niners fan. I have been wounded deeply by this young man. And yet somehow him sounding like Kermit the Frog, it is impossible for me to get that angry at him at the end of the day. Besides, my team made it to the Super Bowl twice and played in the longest Super Bowl ever and didn't choke it in the way that the Falcons did. But the punchline is this, folks. Don't tell me the refs had anything to do with that. There was too much in the Bills' control to keep them in the game, and they just didn't do it. I'm not sitting here saying you should do like the NBA and fire a coach after he got, coach of the year, to win an NBA finals like what happened there in Milwaukee a while back. But they do need to look closely at Joe Brady and what happened that night, even though he was really responsible for the Bills making the playoffs the past 2 years.
The only thing I'll say is Kyle's on the roll. Go ahead, Jen.
Actually, I gotta say, I'm a Panthers fan, so I like Joe Brady. Like, I thought Joe Brady did a pretty good job. Of course, he screwed up a little bit. But when it comes to the officials, Carrie Johnson, our Chiefs chick on 3 Chicks in a Pod, Chicks and Salsa, pointed out tonight, she was like, nobody's bringing up the fact that while Josh Allen was sitting on the bench, the officials went up to him and were chatting with him. Like, nobody's bringing that up, but everybody's in a tizzy because while they're on the field, a ref was talking to Patrick. Yeah. Guess what, people? Refs talk to players on the field. It just happens. Also, another thing, and Mel, you played the game. You can attest. The better team will get the iffy call. Just going to happen.
Superstars get called.
And it doesn't matter if it's, I was making this pointer earlier because realistic, Homer, if the Panthers are playing the Jets or the Jags or whatever, whoever is the better team in said game is going to get the iffy call. Okay. And I'm picking out some of the worst teams in the league right now. So it's just going to happen. Truly.
Well, and Jen, just a quick piggyback on that. That transcends football. That's in any sport. Michael Jeffrey Jordan got all the calls too. I'm sure there will be people
LeBron does too.
Yeah, LeBron Ramon James, I was just about to say, is a dude that gets all the calls. Okay. Yeah. Thomas Edward Patrick Bieber Brady has gotten so many calls, but we all call him the GOAT anyway, allegedly, right? So what are we doing here? Exactly.
Good stuff. I know one thing is guaranteed on this show. I'm not losing my voice with this group, man. I swear to God. I'm going to tell you one thing. I never, ever, I swear to God, bring up a food reference on this show. But you know what? I'm going to do it. Because this guy says, I'm having ribeye steak to celebrate the Chiefs win. Okay. I guarantee if you went to New Orleans, you'll be an awful lot of Cajun food. And I can tell you one thing, that food's a whole lot different than a ribeye steak. Take it from somebody that really knows, okay? So I got this group here.
I need to give you some pointers later, Scott. I'll call you later in the week before you head down there.
Oh, no problem, Jen. We're good. All right.
Right.
All right, so here, let's keep going to the let's keep going to the comments here, all right? And I want to get to Cam Ward because this is really, really important. Okay, question. I'll handle the stuff here, Candy. Is the Super Bowl going to be a watch by a lot of people? Yes. Just yes or no by everybody because we have a lot of room to catch. Yes or no from everybody. Candy, yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Kyle?
Yes.
Mel? All right, good stuff. Can you hear me, Mel?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. That question's answered. Now, one of the bigger topics I want to get to tonight, and especially Kyle get on the show, is Cam Ward the best quarterback in the draft? You know what? I'm starting off with Kyle Nash because here's the deal. Kyle and I saw Cam Ward play one half, mind you, but before he ended up sitting up second half. Candy went out there and heard on the field that the Giant scouts were there wanting him to play one half. But, Kyle, you're seeing Cam Ward for the first time. I'm leading off with you on this. Do you think he's the best quarterback in the NFL draft?
Well, Scott, not only did I see Cam Ward play, you forget in covering UCF with the black and gold banneret, I also saw Shedeur Sanders play in person. I got to tell you, as far as the quarterback product that the Tennessee Titans specifically need, I would pick Cam Ward as the better fit, save one thing. That Titans O-line is awful. You need somebody who can run for his life, which is why I would pick Shedeur from a football standpoint. However, I don't think they're ready for the cavalcade and the drama and the, I don't call it drama, but the attention, that's the better word, that comes with bringing in a Shedeur Sanders. I don't know that particular front office, that particular building, that particular market is ready for that kind of hubbub. Maybe I'm talking out of my keister here. That decision, I think, isn't made by all the stuff that's on the field. Do I think Shedeur is a more complete player from the standpoint of being able to slice and dice and be surgical, also being able to run? Not to say that Cam Ward's a bad athlete. Yeah, that I think Shedeur is a better fit from a football standpoint. I think Cam Ward is the choice the Titans make. To be honest, I'm not mad at it either, so long as they get some beef.
I don't know. You had a chance to see him play. At least you got one half. I had him all season. Shedeur Sanders is going to be one of the top 2 quarterbacks pick. I do believe it. So now let's go ahead around the horn. Okay, we're going to – Jen, you nearly had a chance to see Cam Ward, but Miami didn't keep up there into the bargain. Some thoughts about Cam Ward?
I need to repost my interview with him. But, I mean, Cam Ward's great. Honestly, I always feel bad for the number 1 quarterback in the draft because you go into the worst team in the draft. Whoever he goes to, I hope is smart and sits him and just lets him learn the NFL. Because Tom Brady did say it best. He's like, these rookies are coming in, they're playing, and they don't know what they're doing in the NFL yet. Sitting behind a starting quarterback in the league is imperative.
Okay, Mel, some thoughts about Cam Ward.
I like Cam Ward. I like Shedeur. I like both of them. I think you don't necessarily have what everybody thinks is a generational talent at the position, or maybe even a franchise quarterback necessarily at that position in the draft this year. But what you do have is 2 guys who've played a lot of football. And that's what I like. So you got 2 guys that have seen a lot of football. I mean, they've played, in Cam's place, I think he's played 5 or 6 years. Shedeur, I know he's played 4 years, and he played, 4 years of college football. Now, would Shedeur have been this type of prospect if he had just gone to a Division I school? Not so sure. Would Cam Ward have been this type of prospect had he just gone to Division I school? Not so sure. The path that both of them took to get to where they are right now is a little unusual, but they've got a lot of football, and that's what I like. They both played a lot of football. When you have these flash in the pan guys, those are the guys that worry me, that everybody anoints as this or that, or, this generational talent or whatever the case may be. Those guys worry me. I like the guys that have played a lot of football and that have seen a lot of different things. That, one thing I know is both of the guys are tough. I know Shedeur is tough because he's taken a lot of hits over there at Colorado. Mm-hmm. Now, whether or not, Cam is a better prospect or not, I don't know. I like Cam because I like his story. I like what he's gone through. What it took for him to get to where he ended up at Miami. But I also like Shedeur's story as well. I remember when he was working out with Tom Brady when he was in high school down in Florida. And I forgot I think he committed to Lane Kiffin down there in Florida. And then his dad got the Jackson State job, and he ended up going there with his dad, following his dad there. I like both of their stories. I think that both will be very productive quarterbacks. And I think they both have very, very long careers. But to say, is one guy better than the other one, I think it really depends on the situation, what you're looking at as far as in that position, that particular guy. Neither one of them. I guess they say Cam was a little bit more mobile than Shedeur, but both of them throw the football. They are not dual threats. They're guys that like to stand back there in the pocket, scan the field, and throw the football. I don't think you can go wrong with either one of them, but obviously, depending on where they end up is going to determine a lot about how their careers end up.
I like the point you made, Mel, about the generational talent question too, because there's a lot of draft people there like our grades are lower on them. They shouldn't be drafted in the first. Okay, well, slow your roll a little bit there, draft nerds. We get it that they may not be at the level of some of the quarterbacks that came out last year and had success, but these are still the top two guys unequivocally at the position. And I still think they have a shot at success. I'm with you 100% on that too. I just want to put that in there with you to kind of support your statement.
All right, JD.
Oh, yes, sir. I'm itching. First of all, Lane Kiffin, sir, has never coached at Florida. Therefore, no one has ever committed to play football for anybody.
No. A Florida school. He was at a Florida school. I can't remember FAU, IU.
FAU or something. Oh, okay. Well, I thought you said Florida. My bad. So yeah, I thought you meant Florida Gators or something. They wanted Lane Kiffin. Couldn't get him though. But back to the Cam Ward and the Shedeur Sanders thing. Shedeur quit today. Him and Cam Ward threw long balls against one another yesterday. We saw the videos. They both threw them equally as well. Both look like they're very inept passers. My issue, though, is can we see what Shedeur does without his dad as a coach? He's had that security blanket for a very long time. Can he answer to anyone else coaching him? Can he take harsh criticism from someone other than his father? These are questions that might be answered. He might just be a good football player. But to me, that raises red flags.
Well, I'll add this, JD. If anybody is going to have taught somebody to take hard NFL coaching, it would have been a former NFL Hall of Famer. I'll put that out there.
Okay, fair enough.
Do you have kids?
Yes, I do.
Okay, we'll see that I baby my kids probably more than I would maybe the neighbor next door or something to that effect. You know what I mean? They all get treated differently. So I'm just saying from a psychological standpoint, and it has nothing to do with me and my relationship to my kid, which I'm about to coach in baseball for the first time ever.
Good luck.
Yeah. I have no idea what I'm getting myself into in that regard. But like seriously, to me, he seems a little bit protected by the prime aurora around him.
Okay, fair enough.
I think it's actually probably harder to play for your dad than it would be for somebody else in his situation. I worked for my dad for a number of years, and
those are the good dads.
Yeah, they're very my dad was extremely demanding of all of us, and he didn't coddle us in any kind of way. He even coached us one year when I was in Little League, and we went 7-0. We're undefeated and unscored upon. Nobody scored on us either. But that was his 1 year coaching, and that's it. But he, I think Shedeur will be fine. He may, and the one thing I'll say about both of these guys, and I think that's very, very important, is they come in the league with a lot of confidence. Both of them come in the league with a lot of confidence, and I think that's going to carry them a long way. It's having that type of confidence because of the type of success that they've experienced at both their programs. So I think both of the guys would do well because of that. If you come in and you're kind of limping into the league, you're not really sure of yourself. That makes it a little bit more difficult. I think both these guys understand that they belong in the league, regardless of what all the pundits are saying about them not being generational talents. They both understand that they've worked extremely hard to get to where they are, and that they both belong in the league, and that's why I think they'll do well.
I'm going to turn over to Jennifer, then Candy has the last word on it. I'll say a couple things, but not that long. I want to move it along. Go ahead, Jen. Anything else you want to add to this?
Yes, actually. I think Deion Sanders would be a very hard person to have as a father. Taking him up there with Lamar Ball. Except Deion actually has talent. That being said, when you're looking at your generational talents, when you're looking at Michael Jordan, he has famously said he did not want his kids playing basketball. Why? Because he knew they were not going to live up to him and the expectations of any of his children playing basketball would be hard fought. One of his kids did play basketball at a D3 school, But that's it. Like your Steph Curry's, your Bronny's. Bronny got sent back to the G League. But your Steph Curry's, your Stephen Curry's, their dad was Del Curry. Difference? Michael didn't have his kids playing basketball. Del Curry had his kids playing basketball with the Charlotte Hornets at very young ages. But Del sure, and their mama sure do keep them on a fine line even now. Like Mel attested, you got, like, when you have a parent who's firm, you've got a parent who's firm. I bet you Shadar has probably heard more things from his dad, more aggressive comments from his dad than anybody else would think to say to him. For several reasons. One, they don't want the backlash from Dion. But
all right, let's go to what I have in the chat. Candy's quite qualified answer. Cam Ward of the Giants will follow it up with us with another one of Pensman's comments. Cam Ward of the Giants may save that franchise. Candy, you have the word on it. I'll also put another comment up from Jay. Now look and spell it. There you go. Good stuff. Okay. And then we'll put another comment up. Candy, go ahead. Talk about Cam Ward of the Giants. What did you hear on the field that day?
So when I was on the field taking pictures, I was talking with another photographer who had seen the Giants scouts on the field, and he had said that the Giants wanted to see Cam Ward in person, and that's why Cam played the first half of that game. Obviously, he didn't want to get hurt, so he wasn't going to play the whole game. Whether that is completely true, I mean, I do believe it because I did see the Giants scouts, but here's what I'm going to say about Cam Ward and Shedeur. My question is going to be, Cam obviously can play the game. He has played for different coaches, so he knows how to respect, how to take different coaching. Shedeur only has had his dad. So my question is going to be, if Shedeur goes to a team and they put him in the beginning and they don't do well, who's the first going to be to go? Is it going to be Shedeur or is it going to be the coach? And if the coach goes, are they bringing in Dion to coach his son in the NFL? So will it be coach or not?
It's going to be the coach. It's going to be the coach.
Exactly. And so will they then bring Dion, dad, in to coach his son again?
Well, will his dad want to go coach his son again? I don't know. I mean, will he want to go to the NFL and deal with all that? I don't know, but
I mean, Pete Carroll completely killed my conspiracy theory when the Raiders hired him. So
so let me put this up by Pensman. This should be interesting. I know that Mel has a hard cutoff at 9, so I want to make sure we get him in as much as possible. Cam Ward might be as good as Jaden Daniels. That's interesting. Time will tell. But
going to the Giants?
I mean, be honest. Nobody saw Jaden Daniels doing what he did this year.
Did.
The only thing I'll say,
100%.
The only thing I'm going to say about this comparison, and I've seen Cam Ward's body of work for an entire year, is he has the ability to carry a team on his back. I think part of the reason the Hurricanes' downfall is they expected Cam to do too much, but he can move with his legs. That's where the comparisons that I can really see based on what I began to see with Jaden Daniels and seeing Cam Ward firsthand. Obviously, Kyle got a small sample size, and we can go from there. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. Those comparisons are always going to be what they are when you have a quarterback that can move and you can throw. And yes, Jennifer, if he goes to the Titans, they're a bad franchise to begin with. But they brought in a guy from the Chiefs as their general manager who knows the blueprint from Kansas City, hoping that maybe they could go ahead and find the blueprint there. Time will tell. There's a lot of moving parts to this whole topic, and every one of you has covered it quite well in a lot of different ways. So there's an FYI I want to make sure we'll have everybody on. Super Bowl fact. Only quarterbacks to win a national championship in the Super Bowl: Joe Namath out of Alabama, Joe Montana out of Notre Dame. What are your thoughts about that one, Kyle?
I mean, listen, if you're going to put that in the direction of it's interesting that two the two polar opposites are in play here, and one of the, let's just say, more statistically questionable quarterbacks in the Hall of Fame. And then the other end is a guy who was at one point the GOAT. Very fascinating stuff. But I think this kind of attests to some of the stuff we were talking about earlier in the conversation that Tom Brady was having about younger quarterbacks coming in less prepared. I wonder if those two things are united, because Heisman Trophy guys, national championship guys are dudes that get drafted higher and go to struggling franchises. And the days of that quick turnaround, and a young quarterback having to come out right away rather than sitting and being the guy and waiting for a while, it's not the same anymore. And I think you're going to see that stat hold on longer.
Interesting. Mel, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, you have 100 and some odd teams vying for a national championship, and only one team can win it every year. Now we have 32 NFL teams that are vying for a world championship. Only one team wins it every year. It just tells you how difficult it is to win at each level. And then especially when you're talking about winning a championship. Now, back in the day, national championships were important, but winning your conference was important. Going to the bowl game and winning your bowl game was important. For us, winning the Rose Bowl was important for us back when I was in school. Now it's all about the natty. It's all about the natty. I mean, that those are great. I guess that's great company for those two to be in. I would have taken either one. I didn't need both. I would have taken either one. I would have taken a natty or a Super Bowl. I got a Rose Bowl. Should have had two, but we won't get into that. But it's an interesting fact. I think people wouldn't guess that there's only two. I think people would probably think that there probably are more than two. But there's other players that have won, and they may be the only quarterbacks, but there are other players that have won the natty and also.
But we're talking about quarterbacks, Mr. Farr. That's all. We're not talking about other players. Listen, we're talking about Broadway Joe, my friend. We're talking about Joe who has a state named after him, named Montana. Okay, my goodness, this is unbelievable stuff. You can't make it up. You really can't make it up. Broadway Joe in New York, the most relevant thing that's happened to the Jets since 1969. When Broadway, I guarantee we're going to win it. And lo and behold, what happened? They did.
Can we give some credit to Amici for that, though? He was the big guy in that game. Can we please let the kids know that? I'm just saying.
Oh, I got news for you. JD's getting a good lesson from here tonight. This guy, who's a really great young prospect in my system, is getting schooled tonight by this heavyweight Harvard crew. I'm telling you, it doesn't get any better than this, man.
Listen, I'm ready. I am dropping the hammer.
Not yet. I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet. You'll drop it when I'm done. Professor and the pupil is what you have here, JD. A few people learn, and you're going to learn. When Motor Mouth talks, JD listens. And we're talking about JD Wyatt. Huh?
What'd you say?
Okay. Well, Jennifer, you're different. You got a little bit more clout than this guy. So, yeah, but really, I know you can sit here and talk about all the darn players. You talk about Tony Dorsett for that matter. I can think of a million players. We're talking about quarterback. What you do is you stand back in the pocket, shot, and you fire it. And if I fire it with my right arm, I'll have another shoulder surgery to go with the 29 other operations I've had. So it doesn't make a lick of difference. So Mel,
Candy shake her head after that mention of the surgery was everything. I'm sorry.
Look at Jay. And now I got a genius like Jay. Tony Dorsett, 99 yards. Touchdown, Cowboys. That's what you get when you're on the air with a microphone in front of me. Because I am dangerous. I know Mel has to have an heart out. So with that said, Mel, I hope you're entertained by your first appearance back. And obviously, we know how we're going to work around your schedule. But the one thing you're not going to leave here without doing is giving us a prediction for the Super Bowl, Mel. Who do you got? The Bills or the Chiefs?
I got Philly. I think that Jalen Hurts is going to get his revenge. I think he's going to come back. He's going to play extremely well. This is the game I was actually looking for because I wanted Jalen to have an opportunity to avenge that loss from a couple of years ago. So I think that the three-peat, there will be no three-peat. And I do believe that the Philadelphia Eagles will be raising the Lombardi Trophy.
Okay. Very good, Mel. Appreciate you coming on Inside the Picton. Look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks. So with that said, Mel, we appreciate you being on. Now we've got Jennifer in the house. So there you go. All right. So now we are down to 4. I guess JD, I must have scared the daylights out of him and sent him to a Greenville barbecue. I don't know. But anyway, go ahead.
I actually disagree with Mel. I think it's going to be the Chiefs. There's going to be the three-peat. And it's what I said on our show. I don't know that Jalen can get over mental errors. I don't know that. I mean, the defense is awesome. Saquon is awesome. Saquon, honestly, has had a majorly positive impact on Jalen Hurts. I will say this, but I will also say that Sunday was the first time I have personally seen Jalen close out 4 quarters. So he will do, you're looking at me like I'm crazy, Kyle, but he'll either have a great first half or a great second half. He very rarely has a solid 4 quarters. And I don't really watch the Eagles that often, but he very rarely has a solid 4 quarters. Even Eagles fans will agree with me on that. Like I was surprised. But I do think that it's still going to be, I think it's going to be the Chiefs because they're hints that Travis is going to retire soon. Like even Jason Kelsey said something to that effect. And I'm not saying the refs are helping because I don't think they will, but I think you have Patrick Mahomes. Jalen isn't Patrick. Jalen doesn't have that eye of the tiger in the playoffs. Patrick Mahomes' face tells it all. He is very expressive with his face, and that man is a determined man.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, Kyle, your thoughts?
Or
actually, hold on, Kyle. We're going to bring JD in here.
There he is.
Obviously, all right, JD, you're up next. Just so you know that Mel had a hard out at 9:00, so now you can go ahead and say what you have to say. Bear in mind, the one thing you're going to find out, JD, in this business is certain people have to get off at certain times, and we have to make sure that we get every ounce of their opinion in, and then we can continue going on. It's an FYI, okay, JD?
No. Well, first of all, it didn't have nothing to do with him being on a hard out. Let me be clear about that. It had to do with you just said my name and you got mad at me about interrupting.
No, I'm high. I'm high energy.
Yeah, same here, bro. Same here. That's what I'm saying. That's why I was saying I was coming to drop the hammer. You literally were saying you were about to get to me. So I said I'm about to drop the hammer, and you were like, nah. All right.
Yeah. JD.
So I got disconnected. But anyways, what I was going to say is about the quarterbacks. There's only 2 quarterbacks that have a chance to win national championships and Super Bowls. One is Jalen Hurts, who is playing this weekend against the Chiefs. I don't think that will happen. I think Joe Burrow, though, will be the one who wins the first national championship and Super Bowl as a quarterback.
Yeah, and you know what I'll say about that? I agree with you. Joe Burrow, I think, will be the next guy that puts himself in that category. Joe Burrow was so close to doing it when he faced Matt Stafford. He really was. So.
I'm not betting against Mahomes and the Chiefs. I mean, yes, I want the Eagles to win. I want the Eagles to rush the ball down their throat. But
right.
At the end of the day, the Chiefs will end up winning.
Oh, that's fine. Okay, I understand. You have to please understand one thing about JD. For a lot of those individuals that have known me a long time, okay, everybody has an equal opportunity to speak. I also have to base a lot of things on some of these things I talk about in post-production. Some of them I like to bring on the air so everybody knows there are no misunderstandings here, JD. I know you're new to the program here and the system. It'll take you a little while to get acclimated to it. But the reality of the situation, everybody gets an opportunity to express their opinion. Kyle, how long have you known me?
Hey, listen, I know I'm going to get my shot. That's why I'm not jumping in. And listen, at the end of the day, Jen was like, Kyle, you're making funny faces. I'm like, yeah, that's because I'm waiting my turn. But it's going to be fun when I get there. I can assure you.
Exactly.
Bro,
I didn't say you were making funny faces. I said you were making faces.
If anybody had been looking at me, I promise you. Yeah, I promise I was over here making crazy faces the whole time. I had so many takes for all of that.
Well, and you came up with one, okay, named Joe Burrow that was really darn good. Yeah, LSU / future Super Bowl champ. And we talked about earlier on this show, right, Kyle, that you have a situation where you had, does Mahomes own Allen, right? At some point, one of these guys is going to break through. Allen will break through. Joe Burrow will. He's close. All they have to do is surround him with a decent amount of talent so he doesn't get killed every year, right?
You're not far off, man. But listen, here's where I land the plane. And there's
you know what? The floor is yours. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was about to say, there's a couple of factors that aren't being accounted for here. First of all, I'll answer Jen's question. When was the last time Jalen Hurts played a complete game in the postseason? How about the previous Super Bowl he was in? I'll grant you, he had one mistake during the whole he had one mistake with a bad protection call that to this day Jason Kelsey still says he wish he had called the protection differently, and the Chiefs turned it into points. That Chiefs defense that everybody keeps forgetting about. By the way, folks, in case you haven't heard me say it, the past 2 years, Patrick Mahomes II has hidden the fact that the Kansas City Chiefs are a defensive team now. Book it. A, B. Jalen Hurts had a 300-yard game where I was this close to putting an MVP vote for a losing quarterback in a game until Patrick Mahomes II came out and made an amazing run on not a broken ankle, but a sprained ankle to secure not only the game, but my MVP vote at the Super Bowl 2 years ago. Jalen Hurts isn't going to be what openly decides this game. It's Chris Jones and that Chiefs defensive front. The disrespect brought to the Fatties once again for the second time in 3 years to the front line and the upfront defense of the Kansas City Chiefs, I find somewhat unbearable. No, Jen, this isn't me going after you.
No, I'm not taking this personal at all.
Okay, fine. I'm going after you. No, I'm kidding. But Chris Jones is not getting talked about enough. He is the true MVP of this Chiefs team, just like Aaron Charles Donald made it sure that Joey Burr didn't win a touchdown against the Rams and actually should have gotten that Super Bowl MVP and not Cooper Kupp. I'm just saying. But at the day's end, it's going to be that defense that will make your pick come true with the Eagles. Here's the final thing, and I'm not going to be actually making my official pick. I reserve the right to do that on the Student of the Pain Game podcast in a couple weeks.
Go right ahead.
But I will say the fact
is, Kyle, hold on 1 second, buddy. Jennifer has to keep going. So what I like to do as a courtesy, let everybody know how they can get a hold of you. Jen, Kyle, you can finish off.
I didn't realize you had a cutout. Go ahead.
No, that's okay.
I'm so sorry. I had one at 9 o'clock too. I didn't want to interrupt you. I'm going to let Candy tell everybody where they can find us because Candy just got us streaming. But you can find me on Facebook at Jennifer Matthews Lewis. You can find me, or 3 Chicks in a Pod on Facebook. You can also find me at Twitter or X, whatever you call it, at Jenna Cheryl, the professional fan. Same with Instagram, and on Reddit, I'm Jenna Cheryl. Thanks, guys. Right. Kyle, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're great. I love Chicks and Salsa as a show name, by the way.
Thank you.
It is very good.
Hey, Jennifer, thanks for being on. We'll definitely be in touch by the end of the week, okay?
Absolutely. I need to give you some stuff. Bye, guys.
All right,
it's a pleasure meeting you too.
All right, thanks. All right, Kyle, it's all yours. Nobody's interrupted yet. And then JD goes ahead. We're not done with this guy. He can make a prediction week as long as he wants, because now there are 4.
The final point I'll make this too is if the Super Bowl was next week, I would pick the Chiefs all day. The fact is there's 2 weeks. Jalen Hurts has more time to recover with his knee, and the centers have more time to heal from their injuries. What was it? They put up 55 with the backup center getting hurt and the starting center with the bad back coming back in. It's a whole mess. But those guys getting healthy and having a fighting chance to do battle with Chris Jones, pass me the popcorn. And by the way, all these people claiming they're not going to watch this game, it's just like claiming you're moving to Canada if the president you want gets voted in. You're not going to Canada. You're not skipping the Super Bowl. You're a liar. Just watch the game and enjoy it.
Great stuff. Okay, JD, you can provide a prediction. I got 2 other topics I want to get to tonight, but since we're talking about prediction, JD, the floor is yours. Okay, I'm not going to be talking over you. I won't sit here and tell you how much caffeine I've had because you wouldn't have enough sun drop to save your butt anyway. Go on.
All right. Well, hey, Kyle, you are absolutely right. Anybody who says they're not watching the Super Bowl next Sunday is a liar. They're a liar. You cannot tell me that. And then secondly, this is what my wife, all right, so my wife is a Swiftie. She's already saying that Travis Kelce is going to propose to Taylor Swift after he wins this three-peat, and he's going to ride off into the sunset. Let me tell you what I think. I'm not betting against the Chiefs. I'm not betting against these guys. They are too good. They win too many close games. They're at 17 straight one-possession game wins,
Right.
and 15 of them were this season. There is no chance I'm betting against the Chiefs. There's no chance I'm betting against karma. What is it? What do they call it?
Fate, perhaps?
Fate. Yes, fate. I'm not betting against fate. It's the Chiefs' fate to win 3 in a row, I think. Yes. Would I like to see the Eagles cram it down their throat like I was watching my high school football team and knowing that the Chiefs have a very bad rush defense? Yes. Yes, I would. I do not believe for 1 minute, though, it will happen. Chiefs win a nail biter. I do believe.
All right. Well,
what about the concept of Patrick Mahomes II winning his 3rd straight Super Bowl and Tom Brady having to call the game and watch it happen? That's golden. I don't care who you are. That's a story.
Well, you know what I do believe? I think it's time for a station break. Right, Candy?
Well, wait a minute. Don't I get my 2 cents
Well,
in on the topic
yeah,
first?
Well,
of course you do.
Well, then you know what? Here, JD, you had something to say. I want to interrupt you, then we'll put her on there. Then we get the station break. After all, there is a book that helps pay the bills. Okay, go ahead.
Well, no, I just wanted to segue it right to Candy. Of course you get your 2 cents in here, Candy. We want to hear it. I want to hear it. And then you can go to your station break.
All right, now you're sounding like a radio guy. Now there's hope for this guy. Good stuff. I told you, JD, it was never going to be easy with me because I've been at it for 4.5 decades. You're not even that old, so don't worry. All right, Katie, get your save. Then we get a station break, and I'm still having a blast, and we get a couple more great topics. Go ahead.
So Kansas City has been somehow pulling all these games out of their hat, winning, not necessarily convincingly, but winning. But Philadelphia's defense has been on point. Both run and pass, not just one, both areas, both sides. So, and they've been running the ball with Saquon. Nobody can argue that he's had the season of his life.
I think he's the MVP.
Well, I ain't gotten to that yet. I have a topic on that.
My bad.
Here's my take.
Your take should have come about 2 seconds earlier before you started messing around with my stuff.
My bad.
If Philadelphia has a hiccup, let's say, it'll be up to the coaches. It'll be up to the coaches because if they can get past that and forget about it, I think they'll take this game because I think they're that strong in defense and I think they're that strong. But if they have that hiccup and can't get it out of their minds and they dwell on it, then I think KC finds a way and Andy Reid definitely finds a way to win. But I'd like Philadelphia.
By the way, Jay, thanks for your all your timely comments. Much appreciated. I'll try to put a few more on there. Okay, JD, lesson number 3 looks like you'll already know. Candy's always right. Yeah, it's pretty hard to figure out. All right, but now I know one thing. I'm right about this station break time, and one other thing I also want to add to Mr. Mickey Delaney. I think he's tuning in for Facebook. We have another one. Yeah, there you go. Kyle Nash is one of my favorite people. We have another alternative way to view these shows. You can subscribe to the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel, and that would be a very big appreciation. So thanks, Mickey, and thanks for joining us tonight on Kyle here. He's going to be coming on Inside the Pits, and you talk about a first act right, get him an entire show. This guy in the eyes of Jimmy Walker is dynamite. Station break time.
South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published a book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is written by our host, Scott, the Motor City Madmouth Morganroth. Talks about his 40-plus years in the media and how the media has changed. Old school media versus new school media. Get your copy today. Available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. Audiobook to come out later this year. There's also a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where there is a link to our merchandise store as well as a plethora of great articles written by Scott, numerous other people. I take pictures here and there. Go check it out. If you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. If you want to advertise, call Scott 954-304-4941. If you want to be a guest on the show or have show ideas, you can always email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. Back to you, Scott.
No, actually, back to you, Candy, because you're the one who started it. Now I'm going to let you finish this topic. So how did Sirianni look now that Saquon Barkley set the final game of the year, giving up the rushing title for a trip to the Super Bowl? Already talking about a career year. This is the one time you can be first.
Saquon needed this change, and look what he did with it. Look at how he's taken and run away with it. And I literally mean run away with it. Kudos to players excelling in different teams. Sometimes that's what they need. Sometimes they need a coaching change. Sometimes they need that different running backs coach, offensive coach. Sometimes they need someone to know what their strengths are and to put in plays that show those strengths. Look what Saquon has done this year. And I give Sirianni credit because Sirianni went to Saquon and asked him, do you want to play in this game and go for the title, or do you want a chance? You want to sit? From what I've been told, he was asked. This is a team sport, and I give Saquon a lot of credit because he went for the team in that one.
Let's go to the chat room. Some of these comments are just too good not to put up here. All right, here we go. And JD, you're on deck.
All right.
Thus far. And J.I., yep. Okay, Mark Livingston, Phillies defensive backs will be the key to this game. Cooper, DeJean, Quinn Mitchell, Slayer, all the aspects. Okay. And Mickey Delaney, I don't know this guy, but I like him. Don't give Kyle a big head.
Listen, no matter what, Mickey, I'm still going to have a big ego after this show. There's nothing Scott can do either way.
I don't care. I enjoy your ego. Hey, listen, it's not like I haven't seen it for the first time, pal. I only work with you at a couple Jaguars games. I don't know what you got in that bottle, but I'll tell you, keep drinking them because your comments are getting better by the sip. Hey, it forces me to really mention a story here because of what you did. Many years ago at the Tampa Tribune, the Lions got beat by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I hate to say this because I know it's a family show, but I went to a bar that has good chicken wings, and, I didn't drink non-alcoholic stuff, and I got news for you. My editor went on to say, this is a good story. Whatever you did did good, okay, then continue to do so, and that's just the Cliff Notes version of it. All right, well, that's I have to go. Get ready. Great show, Scott, and the gang love each other and be kind and safe. Ryan Pettit, if you haven't had an opportunity to subscribe to us, please do so. We love having you on. Your comments are absolutely fantastic. You're getting some unbelievable participation in the chat room, and I appreciate every last one of you. Brian, God bless, pal. All right, JD, you've been hanging there patiently about it. What do you think about Mr. Sirianni and Mr. Barkley?
I did a short about it just the other day. Saquon Barkley, to me, is the MVP of the NFL. Listen, the dude rushed for as many yards almost as his quarterback passed for this year. And our good friend Mark, who just commented, and Brian, who also just commented, both of those guys, they told me, listen, Saquon is the truth. What would he be if he played for the Giants still? Not this. And so I even had somebody comment on my YouTube short, and they were like, this is dumb. Saquon can't be the MVP because it doesn't include the playoffs. Well, did you see his regular season stats, my friend? I said, bro, I appreciate your input, but to say that the Eagles could, and he even said this, he said the Eagles could win a championship without Saquon Barkley. And I said, you ain't got a prayer. You saw what happened to Hurts just a few years ago. He would not be back there if it weren't for Saquon Barkley right now. 7 rushing touchdowns. Kansas City is 28th against rush defense so far this year. Run the ball and run it over again. Do your best high school football game ever. I appreciate great high school running games. I'm right here in small town South Carolina. So just run it, and run it over again. I'm good with it. Saquon Barkley, Sirianni, ride that horse, son.
You know what? I'm only going to say one brief comment because I'm really so entertained by Nash. I really am. But you know who Saquon Barkley reminds me of? Reminds me of Barry Sanders. Why does he remind me of Barry Sanders? Barry Sanders gave up a rushing title. He didn't care. Let somebody else have it. Most unselfish running back I've ever seen, Barry Sanders. So if I can put him in the same classification as Barry Sanders, that's pretty good.
Hey, and Saquon did it too. He gave up that chance this year. Him and Sirianni. Yep.
GMTA. You know what that stands for, JD? GMTA.
Too much too soon?
No, great minds think alike, pal.
Okay,
gotcha. All right, Kyle. I kept it short so you can go long.
Well, and listen, there's a lot of great points being made here, but it comes down to 2 particular factors. Is Saquon Barkley the MVP? Absolutely. I don't think there's any way you could come around it. Not only is it because he impacts more than one part of the game, just like the other candidates who are credible, Josh Allen, of course, Lamar Demetrius Jackson, both of them are MVP candidates in their own right. I think a vote for them isn't necessarily one that is a throwaway vote or a wrong answer. But as a 49er fan, call me a homer if you want, Christian McCaffrey had the same kind of season last year. They got his team to the Super Bowl and was completely forgotten. It was another thing where he escaped a far worse situation, I could argue, compared to the Giants. However, it was a situation where he was central, a quarterback less talented than Jalen Hurts. No disrespect to my dude, Brock, but let me be clear. I hope the Niners don't pay you. You ain't that guy. I'm sorry. But carrying a team the way he did quite literally with a big tight end and you know, receivers that weren't certainly as great as Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown in support. No disrespect to Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel, but you aren't those guys. That's just where I live. Here's the thing. These cowards in the media certainly won't do it. And sitting certainly took that award out of his hands. For all the wrong reasons, Josh Allen is going to win it. But the thing of it is, he's not a bad vote. The end of the day, though, for all the receiver injuries that the Eagles got earlier, for the fact that the guy literally did a reverse Mario jump to dodge a guy. I watched this happen, covering it for Fans First Sports Network and the Duval Dive. Travis and I lost our entire minds, and we're covering the Jags. He's a member of the Duval Devout, and he does this backward flip dodge, whatever the hell you want to call it. He is the MVP. These same cowards aren't going to vote for him in the same way that they wouldn't let Damar Hamlin get the comeback player of the year after he died. So if they
nearly died,
they're not going to do that.
One player ever in the history of the NFL that died on the field. And you know what? I was there when it happened. Chuck Hughes, 1971. Dick Butkus. Damar Hamlin nearly died. And it's good because he had all that. It's good that they had all this advanced medicine. Chuck Hughes didn't have a prayer. So I want to make sure. Now, just because Herman Edwards is stupid at the age of 67 and doesn't know this stuff, and I can't believe, I don't know what he was drinking. He wasn't drinking, for all I know, he could have had a bunch of Pat O'Brien Hurricanes, Herman Edwards, and he still wouldn't get the damn message. Then I said, damn people. But Chuck Hughes died, and I was there to watch it. But Dick Butkus, Damar Hamlin nearly did, but it certainly definitely deserved comeback player of the year.
He was dead. Listen, as the son of a nurse, son of a cardiac nurse, he was dead for a minute. They just brought him back. To your point, Chuck Hughes did not have that advantage. You're absolutely correct about that.
Well, I know he did. He was pronounced dead on arrival.
I'm saying.
I know. 1 minute. You ever heard of that thing called those? What do you use those defibrillators? You just jerk him there till he pops up and goes 10 feet off the ground. Boom, boom, boom. He's back. Can't get any more. See, JD's getting a lesson tonight because no matter what we're talking about, it is what it is. Okay, Damar Hamlin Chuck Hughes, and the biggest idiot of them all is Herman Edwards. I hate Herman like I hate Herman. Howard Cosell. All right, with that
Sounds like you
said,
play to win the game, though, Scott. I'll give you that.
what's that, Kyle?
It sounds like you play to win the game.
Yeah, right. He played to win the game, and you know what? He got run out of Arizona State because he was a cheater. Is what he was.
Sure did.
Get me started over there. That guy's lucky ESPN hired him back because they're the only ones that'll tolerate his nonsense.
That was the
Let's
first.
get on to, huh?
That was the first thing that popped in my mind when I saw him the other day. I was like, didn't he get fired? And yeah, he was back on ESPN. Sorry to interrupt you, though.
No, I have to interrupt. You're right. What are you talking about? You interrupt, especially when you're right like that. I don't give a darn. Doesn't matter. I hate Herm Edwards. Seriously, really. All right, but I don't hate the next topic.
Here we go.
No, we got one more topic to talk about. The Philadelphia Eagles have won 19 wins since 2000. All right, Mr. South Carolina, what are your thoughts about that streak?
Oh my goodness, the streaks are made to be broken. That's what I think. I don't know really enough about this one to.
Well, I said they've won 19 playoff wins since 2000. I didn't say straight playoff games.
Right.
Okay, just want to make sure I preface that correctly.
Oh yeah, no, you're good. Like I said, I can't bet against the Eagles or the Chiefs and Mahomes. As much as I want the Eagles to win, every team that I always want to win, they never win. And so therefore, it will be the Chiefs.
Okay, Candy? I've gotten to the point I need to let Nash go for a while. She goes,
You're on mute, Candy.
you're on mute, Candy.
Can I first say one thing about the Chiefs?
Hmm.
We are all talking about them being the first to three-peat, and that is actually incorrect. It's only in the new era because the Packers actually did it back in the 20s, and they actually did it in 65, 66, and 67. So, yes, in this new era that we are in, this could be the first time, but it has happened before. With that being said.
Well, yeah, in the Super Bowl era is what you're saying. Other than that, prior to that, they were repeat. Of course, there weren't as many teams either, but yes, you're right. There were three peats. Go ahead, continue your thoughts, Candy. 19 playoff wins since 2000 is a pretty good number.
It is. It is. I mean, what can you say about it? I mean, they're very well coached. Let's put it that way. And I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna give all this time to Kyle.
Look at this. Good job.
See, you know what, Kyle? You know what you are? You remind me of Saquon Barkley. You know why you remind me of Saquon Barkley? We're going to give you the rock, brother, and go ahead with it.
There you go, hand off.
I love the fact that you bring up that statement because we talk about Patrick Mahomes II possibly winning a three-peat in front of Tom Brady when he's calling the game. I don't know where Bill Belichick's going to be, but Andy Reid will suddenly have his campaign to be starting, or at least starting to be talked about as the GOAT coach for those who haven't done it already. And part of that is in that era of playoff wins, if I'm doing my math right. Andy Reid getting to the Super Bowl might be a bigger accomplishment than him getting to the Super Bowl this year with the first seed. Why do I say that? Do you even know who Freddie Mitchell is, JD? You probably do because you're a pretty smart guy, but you're the wrong age bracket. Fred X, my friend. Who remembers Fred X? Hardly nobody, but you do if you know about Donovan McNabb as a quarterback making it to the Super Bowl with Todd Pinkston, who, granted, as a former Cowboy player nonetheless, but who Michael Irvin regularly referred to as Todd Stinkston. This was not a talented receiver core. And if you want running backs, listen, Brian Westbrook was good, but not at running the football. He was one of the top receivers. Remember, an Andy Reid offense, let's keep this in mind. But at the end of the day, seeing these guys, seeing Donovan McNabb get Hall of Fame consideration, a lot of that is thankful to the Kool-Aid man himself, Andy Reid. Now, when you're big and in green, you don't look like the Kool-Aid man yet. When he got to the Chiefs, he said, oh, yeah, and started doing things with Patrick Mahomes II that made things immortal. And I'll tell you what, they both need to be in the conversation about possible GOATs at the end of the day.
Great stuff.
I absolutely agree. I can't disagree with any of that. And here, I'll throw you up a couple. I remember Jake Delhomme and Ricky Prohl making a 2003 run for the Carolina Panthers. So, yeah, you're not too far off from Stinkston and McNabb and Terrell Owens and Westbrook and Deuce McAllister. Hey,
Yeah,
we
Deuce
right.
is good too.
Same age bracket. We right there.
Okay. You look younger than that. I'll give you your credit.
And you know what, JD? I got to give you this. Jake Delhomme was a good quarterback. Very few people know about him because of what they didn't, and because he was in the Carolina market, but he was a pretty good quarterback. Thanks for bringing that up.
One of the best things Chris Berman ever said was daylight come and you got a Delhomme. And that's one of the things, too, about this year's Super Bowl. We'll tie it all in a nice little bow for you real quick. Jalen Hurts is the first person to ever lose his first Super Bowl and make it to a second. Jake Delhomme was one of the ones back in 2003. He made a Super Bowl, never made it back to a second. There's like 17 other guys, but Jalen Hurts in 2022 and 2024 is one of the first quarterbacks to lose his first and make it to another one.
Well, you're going to sit there and throw that out there. Jalen Hurts wasn't good enough to play at Alabama and went to Oklahoma, and that was his ticket to the NFL. So there you go.
That was part of the hammer I was going to drop earlier. He's one of the national championship winning quarterbacks, though. Him and Joe Burrow.
That's right. Allegedly, you beat me there. Finish it.
Yeah, listen, that's the only two remaining that can do it currently. Jalen Hurts and Joe Burrow.
Yeah, but let me ask you a question, though. Does he actually get credit for that national championship as a winner, or does Tua Tagovailoa because he went out there and actually was the guy that played in the game? I'm just asking that question. I'm curious what your thoughts on that.
Well, if I had to go back, I would say I'm pretty sure we can. Mark, I know if he's still listening, he can correct me if I'm wrong. But Tua got benched at the end of the first half to lead Alabama back to the SEC championship game to lead them to the national championship.
Yeah.
And I think after that, Jalen Hurts, after they won the national championship, transferred to Oklahoma. And I might be wrong. But yeah, I'm pretty sure he's got credit for at least one national championship. Jalen
Well, I don't know. According to my notes, which are pretty good, that the only two that have done it, Joe Namath and Joe Montana. And I have that from a reliable source.
Right.
Jalen Hurts was not actually added on that list.
Yeah, but they were the only ones to win both, right? Yeah, Jalen's only got the chance to win a Super Bowl and him and Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts and Joe Burrow.
What about JJ McCarthy?
Well, yeah, he was injured. He'll have that chance if he makes it to the Super Bowl.
In Minnesota before we ask that question? I'm
Yeah, but JD, think about what you're saying. I just want to make sure I'm understanding you properly, okay? Right now, the only two quarterbacks to win a national championship and a Super Bowl win, not participate in it, and be Joe Namath and Joe Montana. I got that from last.
Right.
And that's what the whole topic was in the first place.
Right.
Only two to win it, not participate in it.
Right. Yeah, no. And that's what I was saying. That's what I was going to drop the hammer about is who will win it first between Jalen Hurts and Joe Burrow, because they're the only ones now that have a national championship and can possibly gain a Super Bowl to join that elite company. I was just building off of your question. That was part of what I was going to respond to earlier. Yeah. No,
either Josh Allen's going to keep them at bay. Joking.
Well, here's what you got, JD. You have a hypothetical question that we'll bring up on another show. Is that fair enough? But it has nothing to do with Joe Montana and Joe Namath, but I appreciate you bringing it out there. Nothing wrong with it. I mean, when I'm talking about Broadway Joe, and Joe Montana. We have a guy in New York, Broadway Joe, and then you have Joe Montana, a state named after him.
Right.
In fact, I'll even take it a step further. Years ago when I was in radio out in Phoenix, one of my co-hosts named his daughter Montana.
Right on. Right. But no, what I was saying is your question said they're the only two that have won a national championship and a Super Bowl. And that's what I was saying is the only two that have that chance to do it are Hurts and Burrow. That's all I was saying.
To do it. Yeah. Okay. Two. T-O. Yeah. Not C-O-N-E.
Right.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah. The only two that currently have a chance to do so that have won a national championship in college.
Yeah, I know you're talking about active.
Possibly win a Super Bowl.
Right. Active players. I get it. It's okay. I call it a fun fact, but I'll tell you one thing I like about you, JD. You took a fun fact that turned it into the biggest hypothetical I've ever seen in my life, and I could probably spend 30 minutes on the topic going toe to toe with you, so it doesn't make any difference. So it's okay. It added some spirited information. You dropping the hammer, yeah. I'll tell you, everybody has an impression of you on this show tonight. Not bad either. You know, you're a guy who has a tremendous amount of potential. You know, we all have a hammer. You're just Kyle Nash. You know, we're just wild characters, man, aren't we, Kyle? Or are we that?
Depends entirely on who you ask there, Scott. Right?
Oh, come on. Were we that way? We were in the press box. You and I, when we got together, we had some of the most animated conversations that we needed social distance from being told to shut up by all our colleagues in there.
Hey, listen, all I'm saying is how mad I get in here isn't the same way I talk to my son. That's all I'm saying. It depends on who you ask.
Oh, well, that's okay. It's all good. It's all good, Kyle. I'll tell you one thing, brother. Yeah, talk about a great show before the Super Bowl. I definitely look like a genius for bringing you on here, and I'm looking forward to having you on here more and more often as you get to know Coach John Bonamago and some of the other people that are on here. When you get to know Bo real well, and then you're on with Travis and you're on with Coach Bono, those are the guys you're really going to enjoy interacting. Tonight was a good group too, though. JD got his first opportunity to come on this show without a doubt. Bo, obviously, yeah, I know your effort was good. Not worried about it. You'll get a piece of Kyle at a future date. We're going to have him on with Travis, so I can rest assured that'll be one great time. But Bo is my normal co-host on the show. But, man, I'm proud of Bo for doing what he's doing out at the Senior Bowl. And what I like to see guys in my system do is if you're not on the air, hopefully you're out there covering an event, because that's just as value as Kyle know about what we do in this industry. Not only what you do on the air, but it's what you do talking with the newsmakers. Like I say, Bo, you're the greatest. JD, pretty good show tonight, knowing that you met a lot of different people. It took all different guys here, former players. We got Kyle, we got Jennifer, we got Candy, me. You're probably saying, "Oh, I don't like this guy. He's so tough on me." But then again, when I sat there and told you I would be tough, at least you know what you're getting for if you're looking for me to mentor you anybody. But you know what?
Chilling.
Huh?
I said, I'm over here chilling. We good.
Well, that's good. I like him chilling. What's the temperature up there?
Well, it's a little cold in the garage, I'll be honest.
That's okay. But you know what, though? That's not the worst thing in the world. Okay, people work out of different places. It's all good. Meanwhile, with that said and done, what a great show we had tonight. Had a lot of different voices, a lot of different topics, and a awful lot of energy. Had Melfar. We had Bo for a split second, but Bo will be on again when he gets back. Don't keep up the good work out there, brother. Much appreciated. Kyle, you and I, we got some more work to do, and now everybody knows you. Hopefully you picked up a follower 2 or 3, because I'll tell you one thing, my friend, it's all about growing. With that said, as we get ready to wrap up this edition of Inside the Pigskin, all right, JD, let everybody know how they can get a hold of you.
All right, y'all can find me on X at JDWyatt06, also on YouTube at Southern Fried Sports JD. Don't get confused. It's just my Southern Fried opinion. Y'all be blessed, not stressed. Thanks for having me, Scott.
And feel free to subscribe to JD's YouTube channel as well. I know he's trying to build his audience, doing a good job. Our goal is to make sure he gets enough exposure so he can reach enough people to accomplish that personal goal, and we'll do everything we can with your continued help on social media. He does a good job promoting our content on social media. JD, much appreciated. Kyle, let them all know what they got from you, brother.
Listen, give the young man credit. Southern Fried Sports is a hell of a name, and that tagline he dropped there, I'm looking forward to hear. That was smooth, but you can grade me on how I do it. Of course, I'm Kyle Nash, the student of the game. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, and I'm one of the cool kids, Scott. I'm on Blue Sky at the SOTG. Find me on Facebook as the student of the game. Check out my writings with the Fans First Sports Network, covering the Orlando Magic and the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's right, 2 separate teams that were depressing at one point. It's a great time here. Of course, one of them through the Duval Dive podcast with my aforementioned friend from the Big Cat Country website, Travis D. Holmes. Check that out here. We're going to be reacting to Liam Cohen's introductory press conference tomorrow around lunchtime there. Check that out. Duval Dive YouTube channel. If you're into the video, we also have the pod there as well. Not to mention my work with the Black and Gold Banneret covering UCF football and basketball. That's right. Scott Frost has rounded out his staff. You can check out Bryson Turner's work on the coaching search there. And of course, basketball being played tonight. It's the Big 12 for both the men's and women's. I will be at Edition Financial Arena Wednesday as UCF women will take on the Baylor Bears. Coach the TMSers alma mater, first time in town since become the Knights coach. Check that out. Blackandgoldbanneret.com, as well as the Night Shift live podcast on the Black and Gold Banner YouTube channel. An honor, joy, and privilege to do it all with you again. By the way, don't forget the Student Game podcast. That'll be happening here on Wednesday. Until next time, everyone, class dismissed.
Man, this guy's unbelievable. So here, I need just look me up on Blue Sky because I get on there once in a while, Billy. I want you to look up Motor City Madmouth and follow me there, and I'll give it back to you because I haven't worked with it a whole lot yet, but it's something I plan to do later on in the year. I'll tell you, your first act here on this show was unbelievable. Bo's already looking at you. He's probably looking forward to having you on here with Travis. We're going to put you and I and Travis and Bo on this show.
And by the way, Bo, I'll address that weakest Duval Live ever comment. I think he getting a little too much a hard time. We'll talk about tomorrow on the Duval Dive.
Duval!
That's unbelievable stuff here, Candy. One more station break.
South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published a book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is written by our host, Scott, the Motor City Madmouth Morganroth. He talks about his 40-plus years in the business and how the industry has changed over that time. It is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Apple and Google Books. Audio coming out later. You can also catch a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com. If you see that red subscribe button in that lower right-hand corner, that means you have not subscribed to our channel. Honestly, I don't know why you haven't yet. Please do so now. Share us, like us with everybody. If you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. If you want to advertise, call Scott 954-304. 954-304-4941. If you want to be a guest on the show, you can email us southfloridatribune@gmail.com. Back to Jen and I. Tuesday nights, typically 7:30. Tonight we went on a little bit earlier, 7:00 Eastern, on 3 Chicks in a Pod, or sometimes we do Chicks and Salsa. What happened is there was 3 chicks, and then all of a sudden they added me. And I'm like, 3 chicks and another chick? No, that's why we created Chicks and Salsa too. So, but YouTube, and now we just started Spreaker. So wherever you get your podcast, you can find us on there as well. 3 Chicks in a Pod. And Jen actually was at the ACC. I love it. She had a video. She was at the ACC championship, and she was at one of the games, and she was interviewing. And before, as a part of the media, you will ask a question. So you always say where you're from. So she said 3 chicks. Dabble Sweeney said, what? She said 3 chicks. He's like, I like that, 3 chicks. So go to our website, go to the YouTube channel, check out some of our work. Love it. Just like I love being on South Florida Tribune. Back to you, Scott.
Well, you want to talk about branding. Heck, Motor City Madmouth, I'll never forget former FAU coach Tom Herman looked at that hat and like, the Motor City Madmouth, I need a hat. And he gave me some great pictures. We had some good pictures. I asked him some great questions. I hope Tom will get a job somewhere else. They talk about branding. And some of these people that are coaches really know that, hey, we're out there doing the best we can to market ourselves as well. Like, Kyle, you're unbelievable, brother. Looking forward to having you on after we get back to the Super Bowl. I guarantee the next 3 years will be unbelievable. You'll try to get Jennifer back, but we're going to bring on Travis for sure. And Bo's going to be on. He ain't going to miss an opportunity to go head-to-head with you, my friend. But meanwhile, JD got you tonight. Look at this guy. He got the hat backwards. Great stuff, man. And by the way, when I talk to Mark Mancini, I'll let him know that you're on a –
yeah, no, that'd be good to see him again. We just keep missing each other.
Yeah, I'm actually going to go ahead and check in the show when we go out there and talk on Thursday. Kyle Nash was phenomenal on the show. And I'm going to make Mancini watch every last bit of this show.
I love my brother, man.
Yeah, I do too. He's one of my favorite people. Don't worry, JD. Stick around. You'll be surprised how many people we're going to introduce you to. So once again, on behalf of Mel Farr Jr., Bo, you were here in spirit, and your presence was definitely felt. Jennifer Matthews-Lewis, Candy Epling, JD Wyatt, Dizzle, whatever, Kyle Nash. My name is Scott Morgan, Motor City Madmouth. Thank you for joining us on this edition of Inside the Pigskin. We will do our next podcast like this in about 2 weeks. We could be doing one probably in New Orleans. We're not sure yet. We'll see what the lay of the land allows us to do. But meanwhile, thank you very much in the chat room for joining us, and we appreciate the effort by everybody involved on the show. Good night, everybody. God bless, and enjoy the Super Bowl.